being homeschooled. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining the HEED Consulting Group for our Cyber Insurance Claims Approval Assurance Program. That is quite a tongue twister. Our presenters today are myself, Kelly Bethay, and Mr. Michael Bowers. We are both co-founders of HEED Consulting Group, so thank you and welcome. I am Kelly Bethay. In case you do not know me, I am the president and co-founder of HEED Consulting Group, along with Mr. Michael Bowers. I am an 18-year risk management and insurance veteran, which sounds just disgusting to say out loud. I used to be a senior account executive at Verisk Analytics and ISO, so I've worked in the insurance industry for the good majority of my life, considering, I'm only 25 years old.
You started very young. You were junior high, right?
I did. It was from the cradle. I was really into mitigating risk. Because of that, I also have a master's in international business and risk management. And I currently am a distance learning teacher to a sassy first grader and a maniac of a preschooler. So I'm a little bit frazzled and all over the place at the moment, but it's a good thing. I know they're home and they're safe. Also, we're going to have Mr. Michael Bowers. Do you want to introduce yourself, or would you like me to do it for you?
Oh, good. You can do the honors.
All right. Michael Bowers is also the co-founder of HEED Consulting Group and our company's CEO. He's got a 20-plus year experience with expertise in consulting and IT management and support. I like to point that out because it shows how much older he is than I am. He is the founder of CAM Business Solutions and has been a very successful Los Angeles-based IT professional. He is currently the homeschool teacher of a third grader and is definitely using technology to help her through some of these math equations. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, you know what? I've understood and learned what a trapezoid is thanks to Siri. Because when it comes to saying, well, what is that? First of all, I'm asking if she knows, like, do you know? Because I don't know.
Could you teach me?
If she shows any signs of doubt, it's like, okay, well, thank goodness for Siri. I can get an immediate visual. I got acute angles, obtuse. I mean, these are things that I, once they say them, I remember, but it's been so long. So.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for that, Kelly. Yeah, let's get right into it. As you mentioned earlier today, we are HEED Consulting Firm. We're a cyber risk management firm. We specialize in risk management through cyber technology management. Understanding, in order to mitigate risk, you got to know the technology. We're based here in Woodland Hills. We were just founded last year, as Kelly mentioned. We are coming together to bring our expertise to businesses, small and medium, and even large, to help with that risk management through the use of cyber technology. And so you can find us at heedconsultinggroup.com, and you can always reach us at 818-356-7187. I promise you guys, stay to the end because we have a special offer for you today. It's guaranteed to be worth your time, so do not leave because we do have a special offer that has to tie into the cyber insurance and making sure your claims get paid. But let's get right into it, so make sure you guys stick around. Do not leave. Cyber insurance. Well, this is something that a lot of organizations are starting to implement, especially as cyber threats are emerging. Hopefully you have cyber insurance. If you're considering cyber insurance, you're in a good place because you understand you're going to get to learn a little bit about what it covers and what is available. And if you have cyber insurance, you should already know these things. But here's some facts about the current landscape as of the past couple of months since COVID-19 has come into place. There's been an alarming uptick in data breaches, especially ransomware in the past couple of months. Many insurance companies are restricting payouts because there's more claims, but they're having to exclude many more things. And so you have to be diligent and on top of your paperwork when you're submitting your claims if you want them paid. Insurance claims are both the amounts that are being paid out, but also the cost of insurance claims are going up. So if you don't already have cyber insurance, you better get it now because those premiums are going to be going up very, very soon. That's a trend that we're seeing as we spoke with Jafir from Markel last week. He mentioned that rates are definitely going up because, of course, the payouts are going up. Ransomware, phishing attacks, those are all on an absolute rise right now, especially with the different needs for small businesses. There's a lot of demand for financing and just extra resources, which means there's lots of phishing attacks, not to mention people working at home. So lots of areas where people are just unfamiliar. Those are on an absolute rise. The average cost of a data breach now is actually going up. It used to be around $85,000 before. Now it's between 120 and 1.24 million, and that's going into things like the cost of notifying your customers if you have a breach, and the cost of hardware and getting your data back, and potentially even ransomware payout. So those are going up in costs and occurrences across the board. And cyber insurance underwriters are imposing tighter restrictions. You can't just submit a claim and hope to get it paid because you figured, well, we had to spend $100,000 to get it done. You cannot just submit that if you don't have your documentation in place. So very key into what's going on with cyber insurance nowadays that everyone should be aware of. So what's most important, what does cyber insurance cover? This is something that's key to everybody. Every business out there, you should know what it covers, especially if you're considering it. You need to know what cyber insurance covers, and it covers things like data loss recovery and recreation. So if your data gets stolen, if you have to pay a ransomware to get that back, or if you have to do something, you have to get hire consultants to come in and help do recovery, they will cover those expenses. The business interruption, which is a really important one. You've spoken to several clients who've had this. Matter of fact, we got Donald Carter, the CFO of Greenfruit, on one of our previous events. He suffered a business interruption loss and was able to get that revenue recovered. So you may be down, but also you lose money. So to get back up and running is one thing, but to get that money you lost back, double important. Things get lost. So laptops, it could be mobile phones, it could be servers, people steal things. To have those things covered under those policies and the recreation of that data that's on there, those are things that cyber insurance covers. Any kind of cyber attack, not all cyber attacks, you have to be very specific with your carrier, check the language on that, but they will cover hacking attacks. You got to be careful that you don't have multiple attacks because they may cover one under one policy, but the right policy will cover all hacking attacks. And if you can prove that and document that, if you have the proof that you were actually being diligent in your cybersecurity, they will make sure that gets covered, but they do covering hacker attacks. Human error is one of those things where if someone's been duped into sending money and it was not the right place, especially if it was like a phishing attack where an invoice is sent from a company that they knew you do business with, those are things that can be reversed. You can get that money back. They can help recover that. And then, of course, the cyber extortion, as I mentioned a little while ago, those are things where if you have a ransomware and you just cannot pay it, you just cannot meet the demands. Plenty of times, cyber insurance companies will come in, pay that ransomware to get your data back. So that's super important to have when you're dealing with any kind of cyber insurance because, well, Kelly, you can tell them.
Yeah, so one of the things that we've come in contact with lately is that many people are a little bit misguided that errors and omissions insurance is not cyber insurance, and it cannot serve as a substitute for proper cyber insurance. Even if the E&O policy has a technology error inclusion, it really is basically for exactly what the term says, errors and omissions. These are errors and mistakes made from within your organization. They do not cover you for an attack on your data and your resources from outside of your organization. You need to make sure that you're putting in a proper cyber insurance policy in order to give yourself a holistic 360-degree opportunity to protect yourself.
Yeah, very good point, Kelly, because a lot of people think that if they have that one policy and they don't update their approach to cyber security, then they're going to find themselves exposed, and that's just not a good thing. So another thing that cyber insurance offers are the solutions that come along with that. And this is really key to businesses because when you do have an attack, you don't want to have to be on your own when things are happening. So one of the things you have to do is have a cyber forensics analysis. And this basically is going to find out where the attack came in on your business so you know how to stop it from spreading, especially if you have to submit a claim and you want to rebuild your environment. You don't want to put a new server in and then have the attack relaunch itself, and then you find yourself with another attack. Insurance companies may not cover a same attack, especially if you have not done this. this is where claims can get rejected because you need to have proof that you've actually done all the diligent work. And so they will cover that, hiring a consulting firm to do that. So cover and happen that for you. We've been on that side where we've been brought in to work for a client that has been hit to help them understand how the attack came in, who launched it, where it went, what machines are infected, rebuild those machines, and so forth. So it's a really important service, especially for small businesses. Civil damages is one of those things that's really important that people don't think about, because you can be found liable to your customers or vendors if you now impose damages on them. So being able to have someone who's got your back on those civil damages, can put you out of business just thinking about it. And if you do have a breach and your customers are affected by that, you're going to have to notify them. That's going to be something that is not just an email. There's an actual process to notifying your customers and letting them know what they can do. You want someone who understands that and can make that happen immediately. That could be the difference of salvaging your reputation and heating off any kind of a lawsuit that people may want to bring against you. And then credit monitoring is one of those things you got to offer your victims who are impacted by your attack. That's something that your policyholder can provide for you and make available. Again, salvaging your reputation with your customers, vendors, or whatever. You keep those relationships going, even though you've had an attack. It happens, but you want to do things to protect them. And then there's legal defense. You're going to have people going to come after you and want to have to recoup losses or whatever they can. You want that defense. You want someone to say, "Oh, sorry, you know what? We're really sorry this happened, but we have coverage for that." And if you can just talk to these guys over here, that's where your cyber security insurance can really save a small business. Kelly, if you would. Oh, we got Kelly may have gotten muted there.
Oh, sorry. Here I am talking away. Anyway, most policies have a resource available that can help policy owners design cost-effective and robust security and data encryption protocols. So similar to the, well, not similar, but actually the policies and procedures that we can help a company put into place oftentimes are actually covered as part of your policy, because your underwriters want to make sure that you are mitigating as much risk as possible before an attack can possibly happen. This will help you in being able to get your claims paid more effectively by being able to provide documentation. We're not there to remove your IT department or replace any of your current protocols. We're there to help enhance you and provide you with the documentation that you would be able to hand in and be able to effectively be able to get your claims paid.
Right. So a lot of policies underwriters will have within their budget something to cover an organization's cybersecurity efforts. And so if they either are going to offer it as a discount or a rebate, if they see that you are being diligent about your cybersecurity efforts with your policies or just managing the environment, you can lower your premiums as well as just reduce your overall risk. And so they will look to support you guys in doing so. So I know this can be a little mundane, a little boring, but I hope you guys are still with me. I promise you there's some good information coming up. So just kind of stay with me.
I'm dazzling and sparkling, Bowers. I am not mundane whatsoever.
No, that's good. That's good. And I know I get excited about this stuff, but just promise you, stay with me. So one thing that's really important are what causes a cyber insurance claim to be denied. A lot of folks don't realize this. They think that if you have a claim or if you have a policy, like it's just automatic, right? Like isn't it just paid? Well, no, it's not automatic as with anything. You have to go through the policies and procedures of that particular underwriter to make sure that your claim is going to be paid. So one of the things that you can do or not do to impact your claims is just be negligent. And that means just, if you have old hardware, you're running old software, which has got known security issues, those are kind of things where when you're getting audited for what happened during an attack, and they say, well, what do you mean you're running Windows XP on all your machines? Like that's not being diligent. That's not adhering to the current threats that are out there. And so you got to show that you're doing the most that you can to protect your environment. It's like if you have a home and you have a home, security, and you have a home insurance. They said, you have locks. You're locking your doors, you're locking your windows. You have an alarm. All of these things lower your risk, which lowers your premiums, which makes it cheaper for you. But you got to have proof of that. So missing it or improper cyber documentation. So when you have certain policies, especially when you start getting, $5, $10, $25 million, you're going to have to show proof that you're educating your employees about the current threats that are out there and how to respond to attacks. What will happen if there is a ransomware? What do? You turn your computer off? Do you call IT? What do you do? So to have that kind of a documentation available to show that you are diligent about your environment, that you potentially had, Windows XP in here, but now you got rid of that machine or all those machines, you got to have that documentation. If you cannot show what you've been doing, they're not going to necessarily deny the whole claim, but you might get a partial payment on that. And that you don't want a partial payment when you're trying to get the full claim back, especially when you've lost a lot. So you want to be able to show that you've got everything documented, that you're being diligent, that you have antivirus, that you have firewalls, that you're updating the security updates. You want to show proof of that. And if you're making any steps to that, you want to show that as well. One thing that happens quite a bit that people don't realize is submitting claims and they're unable to get them paid because they figure that they did all this work, but because they didn't let the underwriter know that, hey, we had a breach, and so we have this problem. And part of their policy may be, well, if you have a breach, you have to let us know right away, so we can step in and have our team come in and apply the forensics, do the investigation, see how widespread the damage is, see what the threats are, and see what needs to be done. If you go through and start doing these things yourself and not letting them know and not going through their procedures and then just submit like an invoice and ask them to pay you back, then you're setting yourself up to just have that claim denied. Because if they can't show that the threat's no longer in your environment, they cannot show how it came in, they can't show that before it came in, you did not just have your firewall set to anonymous access approved. If you can't show that you are not protecting yourself, they're not going to come out of pocket. And so as more and more claims are being submitted nowadays, they're looking for ways to stop paying bad claims, because it's a wild west out there. They understand that, but they still need you to do your diligence and follow the procedures so they can do their diligence and minimize their risk. They don't pay for things like social engineering scams. So someone can use your Facebook or your LinkedIn, and they're able to scam you into buying a bunch of gift cards for Google because somebody over here said you need to. Those are things that are not covered. So you would definitely make sure that you know that those are not covered by most underwriters. Those are things where you have to educate your employees how to identify those threats and be aware of them. And then pre-breach lawsuits. This is something that's very, very important. Pre-breach lawsuits are when, if you have a partner or someone that you're doing business with, a vendor, and you're holding their data or you're part of their supply chain in any way, then they have the right to know that the data that they're putting through you is secured and is not a weak link in their cybersecurity. And so they're able to come and look into your environment and notice that you've got, whether it be hardware or software, with known flaws that you're not patching, especially if you haven't patched them for a long time, and these have been out for a long time, you can get a lawsuit that can force you to do that like now. And so these are pre-breach lawsuits that do exist and are not covered by cybersecurity insurance. So, because that's not a breach. It may be that it may be a claim, it may be a cybersecurity demand, but because there's no breach, there's no impact, cybersecurity insurance will not cover that. But that is a very real threat. And so being aware of that, what's in your environment, making sure that things are up to date and documenting that, all key to making sure your claims are being approved versus denied. So said all of that to say that, of course, we've got solutions for you guys. We're not going to just tell you all this bad news. We do have a solution, and that is our cyber insurance assurance program. And that's based around understanding that there are needs that cyber insurance companies are looking for their covered, for the people who are the policy holders. You must follow certain rules if you want to get your policies paid at 100% versus 50% or 25%. So they have their set of standards. They're going to ask you certain questions, and they're going to ask you for certain information. We have a program to make sure that you can guarantee your claims are paid. And so, Kelly, I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to you. Are you ready there?
I am.
All right. Well, without any further ado, just go ahead.
So with our cyber insurance assurance program, we've developed these standards and requirements of today's top cyber underwriters. And as you can see from across the bottom of our screen, I mean, the industry's heavy hitters are all throwing their hat in the ring for to take on cyber insurance as well. This was not something that was discussed even just a few years ago. This is really a very new and cutting edge piece of insurance, which is really kind of entertaining because insurance is never cutting edge or exciting. But our cyber insurance assurance program maintains the application forms from the largest cyber insurance carriers and incorporates their specific questions into our management solutions. So we worked and compiled as much as we could from what the actual requirements are of these heavy hitters in particular, in order for us to be able to offer you an assurance program. So our approach is that you must assess and mediate. Over and over again, you have to assess and you must mediate your risks immediately. You have to document everything or it just doesn't count. If you can't provide your insurance company with written documentation of all the steps that you've taken, then it really was for nothing. And then rinse and repeat. I mean, rinse, lather, repeat. You have to review your policies, you have to review your procedures, and you must repeat all of your assessing and mediating of your risks while you document it. Assess and report. If you come through and you realize that anything is not compliant with what you were supposed to be doing, you are mandated that you must let your insurance company know immediately. So we are able to help you with your cyber readiness assessment. We have a risk management roadmap. We can check for external vulnerabilities by scanning and reporting back what we found. Your network assessments and also reporting, and your controls and assets audit. The personal data file scan and report. I want to really reiterate something that I said a little earlier in our presentation, and that is we're not looking to replace your IT department. I mean, don't get me wrong, HEED has plenty of services that we could help fulfill some of those requirements. But in this particular instance, we're really looking to supplement and validate everything that you currently are doing. And by doing so, we're able to offer you the documentation that you'll need to go back to your insurance carriers and supply that you've been doing everything that you needed to in order to validate and report back to them.
You just want to chime in on that, Kelly. Exactly what you're saying. Our service that we're providing here is about documentation so that you can have good claims. And so the service is part of the services here. The first part of 3 that we offer in that cyber readiness assessment is literally coming in and documenting everything that's going on in the environment, running risk assessments, running scans, but then also creating a report of that, which is all needed later on when you need to show proof of your due diligence. And so having all these scans and reports in a single management portal, which is what we provide, but we assign tasks to people in your organization where you're able to go through and answer, why do these people have access to this particular files? Why do these VPN accounts still exist? Why are these ports still open? These are all reports that you need to show whenever you're submitting a claim to make sure that they're going to get paid and that you're doing your due diligence. And just knowing where you have personal information on people in your information, whether it be credit cards, it could be social security numbers, addresses, knowing where that is important to just understanding the risk that you're open to. And so part of our process, the initial part of our process, is getting a grip on where everything is, your data, your hardware, your holes in your environment, and then just getting that under control and having reports to show that we're doing that. So that's all the first part of our 3-step process, which is the compliance component of our cybersecurity insurance claims assurance program. The next part is documentation. You can say, Kelly?
Yeah, so I was just going to say, I mean, I cannot reiterate this enough. Documentation is really the thing that you need to make sure that you have succinctly and readily available. So we offer a cyber liability questionnaire. We offer user access to review the worksheet. We file scan audits for PII, as Mike was talking about before. You need to understand where your personally identifiable information is, how you're storing it, where you're storing it, and how you're safeguarding it.
You got to show proof that you even know where that information is. That's one of the key things about that file scan audit, is letting our clients know where their information is. As companies continue to grow, especially now that people are working from home, there's information everywhere, and people are trying to be quick and with the, dirty with their solutions, that they're changing things that are happening, which is why we offer the service as a recurring service, because as things keep moving, we keep checking to see where they are. And so when we're able to understand all the machines in the environment, know where the data is at, knowing where personal identification information is for anybody in your environment is very key. So when you can show, it's like having a fire in a building. When the firemen get there, they want to know exactly how many floors do we have, where are people at, where are there any disabled. You've got to have a layout of where things are. So having that file scan and proof of your audits, that you not only scan on one day, but you continue to scan, you continue to know where people are in your building, you got to have proof of that. So, of course, when the forensic investigation of where the impact hit, we got to be able to show, where did we look? Did it hit here? Is it important? Is it not important? Those are all part of the documentation process that is a patient personal identification information. And then to take you back a second, Kelly, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. The user access review worksheet, that's really important, because who has access to what in your environment needs to be justified, needs to be documented, and needs to be reviewed on a regular basis. A lot of the hacks that have happened up there have happened because people have had access to things after they were supposed to. They've left the company, or they left the project and still had access. And so they were then able to either release those credentials, share those credentials, or just lose those credentials, allowing other folks to get in and get access to data they weren't supposed to. And it specifically happened with the Target data breach a few years ago, where contractors who were no longer working in the environment still had credentials, and those credentials got into the wrong hands. So, I'm sorry, Kelly, you can go ahead on to the.
No, it's okay. I mean, just making sure that you have data encryptions and all kinds of, these are just all different safeguards that you need to have in place for the various different compliances that you are responsible for, whether it's HIPAA or PCI or just even regular PII, by having people's addresses and names and associated information with them compiled in one specific place. So we offer AV verification reports and external networking access reporting. Knowing what can actually touch back into this database is also where are your vulnerabilities where you're holding this information.
Yep.
And again, I can't repeat again, this is my rinse, lather, repeat review and repeat. You need to make sure that, this is not a one-time solution. This is something that is an ongoing effort that you are diligent in. You need to make sure that your cyber readiness assessment is updated regularly. You have to have cyber risk change management. Make sure that anytime something changes, you are adapting to those changes, and make sure you're managing it effectively. A cyber risk roadmap update. Same kind of thing. As things change, what are your plans to update that information?
Yeah, I'm going to just pause you right there for a second, Kelly.
Sure.
Going back to initially, we didn't touch on this enough, but during our assessment, after our assessment, we help organizations create that cyber risk roadmap. So right here, we're updating it, but based on the threats and risks that we find during the readiness assessment initially, we then create this cyber risk roadmap. And so that means, okay, we've identified these machines with Windows XP, these machines with old updates that are not being applied, whatever that may be. We can then find those and then create that roadmap for getting them fixed, and so, or mitigated, I should say. So the cyber readiness assessment update is continuing to redo that. The change management is knowing when we've made those changes and then managing them. So it could be who did what, whether it's your having your IT team go through and make sure these are updated, or if it's a matter of implementing a solution to do so, you want to manage those changes. But then also to say, okay, now that we've done that, we will update that roadmap for the next steps going forward. And again, because things change, it could be new computers, it could be new cloud solutions. We just had a client, we just implemented a new project management solution. And so that meant all new technology coming into the environment, new computers. And so the last time the risk roadmap was done, that wasn't there. And so now as we review the environment, we now can take that into account. How much risk is involved there? Where's the data at? And how do we protect that? So the ongoing component of our solution is about that, of identifying those changes, documenting, like you said, Kelly, if it was not documented, it does not exist, but documenting those changes, and then also saying what's going to change moving forward. You don't have to have everything fixed right away, but you do have to show that you at least know that there's a problem, and have a plan to mitigate that problem, whether it's about finding the right solution, getting management on board, whatever it is, you got to have a plan. You cannot just continue and say, wow, Windows XP, we still have those on the floor? That's not a good idea. Anyway, what's for lunch? No, you have to say when you're going to update that, what's the plan, and show that something's been done. So that ongoing updates is really key, and then having a third party like us come in and manage that for you means that we can keep your internal teams accountable and managed and keep them on point. So sorry, Kelly, I may interject you. You can get back into the external vulnerability scans.
So, wow, I have an echo. Do you hear that?
No, you're fine.
Okay. External vulnerability network scans are always something that you would need to make sure that you are documenting and having available as far as where your exposures are. Your assurance project management, making sure that these projects are all put together and being managed well, as well as an annual cyber insurance update, semi-annual actually. Making sure that this is happening several times a year is very important. And again, we're back to documenting. This is an ongoing effort that needs to make sure that you are updating those documents as you are redoing all of these assessments to make sure that you are documenting and keeping everything on hand for, God forbid, when a breach happens.
Yeah, the assurance project management is when we're able to help your internal teams do the necessary tasks to have everything secured, whether it be implementing new software, it could be replacing hardware. We can help with getting those things done. We can make recommendations, but those are all part of the ongoing service that we provide, part of our annual service of the annual cyber insurance program. So, and then having updates that are done with your management team, we can come in, we can show you what we've done or what has been done, or nowadays we won't come in as much. We do more virtual meetings, but meeting with your management and just letting you know. So this is where we started. This is what's been changed, and this is what we're going to be doing next. So having that as part of keeping everyone engaged, everyone involved, is really a key part of the ongoing part of the assurance program. And so, as we promised before, here's the offer you've been waiting. Okay, you guys ready?
Drum roll. Okay, so the cyber insurance assurance program. We have a special offer for you today. Normally, we don't put our pricing out there because it varies on the size of a business, but Generally, we offer our assurance program for $2,495 a year. But if you take advantage of this today, today's offer is giving this to you at $995 per year. And the really exciting part of that is that we're willing to offer you to renew at that same price for as long as you keep it current. We are really trying to remind you that this is an ongoing effort and that you need to make sure that you're doing this as often as possible. So we'd like to be able to offer that you can have this as long as you're keeping current. You can remain at the $995 per year if you take advantage of this today. You are welcome to call either myself or Mike at our office line, which is 818-356-7187, or you can contact us at heedconsultinggroup.com, or as many of you have access to us through many of our, social media verticals, or you may have our own personal phone numbers. We are always looking to have those expanded conversations with everybody. Let us know how we can help you. Between my insurance knowledge and experience and Mike's IT background and his unbelievable grasp of the insurance process, we can really offer you an amazing program and perspective that maybe not many other companies can. So I would like to take this time to offer this to you today, and let you know that we are here to help you. And, this is what we do. So you don't need to go reinvent the wheel. Allow us to do this for you.
Yes, Kelly, thank you. As you mentioned, this is a program that we offer as an ongoing effort for organizations that helps them just make sure their claims are going to be filed. What it also does is it helps them step up their cyber security posture, because part of the process is creating policies and identifying things that are issues. And so oftentimes, whenever you see there's an issue, you want to address it. And so it's more than just complying with your insurance, but it also makes the company safer. And oftentimes as well, they will become more efficient. And when they become more efficient, profits go up. And when people are feeling like the company they're working at is taking the proper steps to make sure that things work, that keeps morale, that helps you retain key employees. You don't want to have a cyber breach, and now your salespeople are unable to make money, and so they leave. And so they understand that you're taking a forward-thinking approach to cybersecurity. That's an organization they feel like they can invest in. They can plant their roots in and be there for a while, because they understand that the company is resilient. They're not going to be gone the second something happens, and that's really important to even letting people know, even during the recruiting process, that you take cybersecurity serious. So don't worry about us going down and you losing your money. So that's one of the things you can offer. And for only $995 a year, this is a very aggressive program. There's a lot of work to be done, a lot of reporting, a lot of data. We have ongoing scans. This is information.
And reminder, some of your policies actually cover you to be able to do a program like this. So check with your underwriter as well.
Yeah, oftentimes our costs can be covered, as well as the cost that will go along with the solutions that you may implement. So it's not just about us. You can have your new AV, you can have a new cyber ecosystem installed. A lot of times they will cover that, because if you can spend $10,000 here and that can minimize $150,000 worth of risk, that is absolutely worth it. So contact your insurance providers and see what they will do, see what kind of assistance they will provide. So just so you guys know, some of the other things that we also offer here at HEED, in addition to our cyber security insurance, cyber insurance assurance program, is we do cyber incident response services. And so that means coming in, doing that forensics that we talked about earlier, finding out where the breach happened, or finding out how widespread a ransomware attack is, knowing where your data is at. We can come in and put together a response team and get you guys back up and running and do whatever it takes. Sometimes that means negotiating Bitcoin if you don't have insurance already, but we can help with all those services, from the moment that you see the notification on your screen to, okay guys, we're up and running. We can help with that. Also with cybersecurity consulting in general, just understanding where your company is. This is more than just having antivirus. And so we can provide just general consulting, working with your IT team, working with your risk management professionals, your CFOs, your CEOs. We can come in and provide direct consulting and help you guys put together a plan, a roadmap for getting your company secure, whether it's for your cybersecurity insurance or just cybersecurity in general. We can work with you in helping develop a plan and a roadmap. Another thing that we can do is cybersecurity as a solution itself. So that means we can manage your workstations, we can manage your desktops, we can manage your firewalls, your hybrid cloud environments, your public cloud environments, whether that means business continuity, managing and auditing of logs, whatever that may be. We can provide at whatever level of support and solutions that are required. We can help at every level. So if you need anything like that done above and beyond keeping track of the information, we can actually help with the solution. So we can help your internal IT department, or we can work alongside them. Or if you don't have an IT department, or they only do, like, say, help desk and break fix, we can help with everything else. So that way they can focus on the users and we can focus on the cybersecurity. So however you want to approach it, he can be there to help. We also offer cyber risk assessments, which comes in and takes our cyber readiness assessment a step further. And that goes into meeting with department heads and understanding where your data is at, knowing the solutions that are in place, what's it going to take to get things up and running, and letting you, the CFOs or the CEOs or the investors, know where your risk is at in case certain scenarios were to take place, what would the impact be, and then helping you put together plans to mitigate that. So it's very important, especially if you're trying to get a control of risk. As companies are starting to send people home, finding new ways to do business, you gotta keep risk under control. And last but not least, and definitely not last, what we have to offer is our business continuity readiness assessments. These are really important because as you understand what it takes to do business, many companies are going through this right now where they're saying, okay, we got to send people home. How do we keep going? And whether right now we're working with companies getting their voice communications going, it could be implementing something like Teams where you can work and share documents. Google just implemented a Zoom-like webinar screen sharing solution. So knowing what you're going to do so that your employees are not having to figure things out and just put together their own solutions, which just opens up a whole nother level of risk. We can come in, check your business continuity readiness, see what you need to operate, what key services are needed to open your business, keep supplying your services, keep supplying your vendors, keep your supply chain going. We can do those assessments and then help put together roadmaps for addressing any issues that we find. So I want to say thank you to everybody for joining us today. If you have any other questions, as you said before, you can give us a call. 818-356-7187 is our office line. You can email me for any questions that you may have, mbowers@heedconsultinggroup.com. You can also visit us at heedconsultinggroup.com. Again, any questions, any thoughts, you can also send, as Kelly mentioned, direct messages to Facebook. You can get us to LinkedIn, whatever it takes. We're always available. But you can see Heed as your cyber security partner, helping you manage risk through cybersecurity. So thank you for your time, your attention.
Thank you.
Yeah, once again, you can reach us at 818-356-7187 or heedconsultinggroup.com. My name is Michael Bowers. With me has been my president, Kelly Bethay. Kelly, thank you.
Thank you. And join us next Tuesday for our next webinar.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Click like and follow us for any future updates and when we're going live, because we will go live every week. Thank you, guys.